This is Real Life Reviews. I'm Andy, and this is the Hoka Cielo X1. Now, Hoka are very quick to say that this shoe is not the next iteration of this shoe, the Rocket. This is the Rocket X2. It's an altogether different shoe. And I'm going to start with some basic numbers for you. And the first number I'm going to go for is weight. And I don't want you to suddenly dismiss this shoe when I show you the weight of this shoe. So let's do that now. Straight away, let's put the Cielo on the scales, and we have 250 grams. Now, as a direct comparison, there's the Rocket 2, 214 grams. The shoe has a drop of 7 millimeters, which is slightly high for a super shoe. Hoka generally are around about the 5 millimeters, and 4 to 5 mil is pretty standard for a sort of super road shoe, marathon type shoe. The stack looks enormous. It does though come in at the 40 mil, 39 mil limits. The thing about Hoka is you very much sit inside. So depending how you measure the stack, you can actually get measurements right at the heel of about 46 millimeters, but your foot isn't 46 millimeters up. And similarly at the front, it looks like you've got almost no stack, but it's the paint, or I say the paint, it's the colorway that sort of draws the eye to the white as opposed to the upper layer. And we'll talk about the PIBA foam in a moment. So this is a UK 8.5 for that 250 grams. It's a European 42 2/3. That's what it says inside the tongue. So it is quite a heavy shoe. Having said that, it's relative. Yes, it's heavier than most of its sort of competitors in the super shoe market. However, it has a few little aces up its sleeve with its comfort, cushioning, etc. that don't dismiss this shoe, because I'm loving it at the moment. Further numbers, drop 7 millimeters. Again, that's quite high. Hoka as a rule work around the 5 millimeter mark, and pretty much the rest of the super shoes on the market are in the 4 to 5 millimeter drop. So that's quite high. It also looks to have a massive stack. Well, yes and no. You can make measurements at the heel up to about 46 millimeters, but it is actually a 39, 40 millimeter stack shoe, because like with many Hokas, you sit into the cushioning. So where your heel is, it's not so high. It also looks like it's got a tiny stack towards the ball of the feet, but that's more to do with the colorway drawing your eye to the white part. So yeah, they're the numbers. Don't read everything into the numbers. It's about how this shoe works. So speaking of how it works, sizing, I would still go half a size up unless you have particularly narrow feet. I've said before, my normal Hoka size is 8. My Speed Goats are all 8s. The Rocket was an 8.5. This is an 8.5. Where this scores over the Rocket is the toe box at the front, the forefoot, in that it very definitely has a bit more room. I fell out of love with this shoe after about 12 to 14 kilometers. It was just too tight on my feet. I get my toes would start, as my feet swelled, my toes would start getting squashed together. I just found it was too narrow for me, and I don't have wide feet. This, on the other hand, on a longer run, much more comfortable. And I've earmarked this. I've got the Burley 100K, so that's only an 18K run. But this will be the first, that will be the first race that this has done. So I've done from 5K up to 24K in this shoe, just trying it out. But so far, that forefoot is a huge improvement. Now, Hoka say this is a width D, and they say the Rocket X2 is a width D. On my feet, I really don't, I don't necessarily, they've got their measurements and they're not going to lie, but I think this has got a lot more room in the toe box. Stability wise, it's a neutral shoe, but pretty stable. And whilst I'm talking general, the heel here is a really nice snug fit. Let's focus on the upper for a short while. So if I just get the shoe closer to the camera, you'll notice it's got quite a thick ribbed construction to it. Some people have said that it's quite warm, it's quite a hot shoe. Well, I get really quite hot feet, and we've had a few days recently, for once, of nice weather in the UK. Longer run, I've not had a problem. I'm surmising from that, my conclusions are actually it's also very breathable. So I haven't found a problem with that. The only potential sort of give and take here is that's contributing to the weight of the shoe, and it needn't necessarily be that thick. But it is. The laces. So there's going to be a little bit of love and hate about these. They're a good width and they're really grippy. So you can lock down by tying them really nicely. And whilst I'm mentioning lockdown, we are on a double eyelet construction at the top. So you've got variety there. You can tie further back, or you can tie a heel lock if you so wish. So the grippy laces, I quite like them from a running perspective. I think triathletes are not going to like them because they're not as easy to slip through and use to put on quickly. Having said that, as a triathlete, you're probably going to whip them out and put your favorite elastics in anyway. So yeah, I don't have an issue with those whatsoever. And to finish off with the upper, the tongue is gusseted, and I'll try and show you, it's got the strap just like the Rocket did, although the strap here is a little bit wider. So I have a criticism of the Rocket now that it's actually quite hard to get on and it's not a great transition shoe. This shoe, very definitely, you can open it up more and set it up to get on quicker in transition. It's still not the quickest to slide into, but it is quicker than the Rocket. Again, I've tried it, it's okay. I'm going to try it in anger in a week's time, and we'll see then. The only thing I would say that I'm finding is when I tie this up, the tongue, there just seems to be a bit too much of it, and it just doesn't sit like I'd like it to sit, and it looks odd. It doesn't though interfere with the top of my foot, and I'm not getting any rubbing or soreness. So yeah, small things. Right then, the sole, what a lot of you will be particularly interested in. So the foam, it's a double layer of PEBA. Now, most Hokas are EVA foam. So this shoe is on the PEBA line. It's, as I've just said, a double layer, and it gives great cushioning. It appears to be a little bit softer than the PEBA foam used in many other shoes. And I'm thinking in particular here of the Alpha Fly from Nike. And it kind of, it's hard to put this into words. If I say it's bouncy rather than punchy, it's really comfortable. For me, that suits my long runs. Particularly when I get fatigued, it seems to be in sync with what I want. And I've found this to be a really, really good shoe suited for long runs. And its transition from heel to toe is really smooth, really easy. And once again, that to me is good for when I'm getting tired. It allows me just to keep some flow rather than having to sort of keep up with the sort of toe off of one or two other shoes. The carbon plate is winged. It has these little sort of wing hooklets on the outside, and you can see them there, okay, and there. Does it make a huge difference? To be honest, I don't know, but it's a feature of the shoe. And if I turn it over, we have pretty good coverage for rubber on here. And again, that will be contributing to the weight of the shoe to some degree. Nicely, if I just turn this and try and get the angle right, what I hope you'll see is that the rubber is very much on top of the PIBA foam. So it's protecting it all the way. Unlike some shoes where it's part indented into the foam and very quickly on the wear, you start wearing the foam out and the shoe ceases to operate as you might want. Staying with the outsole, we have a cutout on the lateral side, which I think just helps with the stability a little bit. It balances the shoe out quite nicely. And the last thing to mention there is I've had no issue with the grip on this sole whatsoever. The Hoka Cielo X1. Yes, it's marginally heavier than its competition, but it works together as a single unit. It's a lovely shoe, it's got great bounce, it's got great heel to toe transition, it's got a bit of genuine push off without being massively punchy, great for longer runs and especially for me when I'm getting a bit more tired. 7mm drop, so a little bit more than many shoes, but quite frankly, with particularly its wider toe box, I'm finding this to be a seriously comfortable longer distance shoe. I really hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Spread the love. In the description down below, we've got some affiliate links and it really helps the channel to keep going if you use those links. We get a tiny proportion of what you spend. You spend no more, you often get some good deals and it's just great for us. If you haven't yet subscribed, well again, please do so. It really helps from YouTube's algorithms, and click on the picture down there to subscribe. A few other videos for you to look at. The Hoka Rocket X2 up there, the New Balance Fuel Cell SC Elite version 4, and for a carbon plated trail shoe, the Hoka Tecton X2 down there. Thanks for watching.